Be the right club. Be the right club today.
Yes! Johnny, that's better than most. How about in? That is better than most. Better than most! Expect anything different?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the No Laying Up live show, presented as always by our friends at High Noon. Solly here. The Pie Man is back. Hello, Mr. Pie Man.
Greetings, guys. Solly, thank you for having me on your program. Excited to be with you on what was an eventful week of golf. Great to see you guys.
Eventful week of golf, a lot to talk about this week, heading into a major championship next week as well. Icarito, Neil Schuster, the Czar, is here as well. Hello, Neil. How are you?
Gentlemen, fantastic being with you. I'm playing on the road from the farmhouse, but we're doing it live, literally tonight. Fired up. Let's go.
A lot of miles being accumulated by the squad this week. A lot of travel, a lot of weddings, a lot of personal vacations. Cody's back running the 1s and 2s tonight after taking the kids on a memorable vacation as well. But the moment everyone has been waiting for is finally here. The High Noon Pool Pack. It's back. Grab a case, text the group, get your friends to the nearest pool. It is Pool SZN, and it is only here for the summer. Now is the time to enjoy the lime, peach, and 2 limited edition flavors, guava and kiwi. It just so happens guava and kiwi are number 1 and number 2 on my favorite list of any High Noon seltzer. The vodka ones, they are my favorites. They're made with real vodka. They're made with real juice. They got 100 calories. They're gluten-free. They got no added sugar, and you can go to highnoonspirits.com to find it near you. You're going to want to find this. It's fantastic. It really does bring in summer when you grab the High Noon Pool Pack. So get out there.
God, you sound like Stephen A. Smith, Solly.
I kind of did.
Yeah, let me tell you something.
I was vibing off that. Walking into the studio tonight, it was like him walking into game 1. I don't know if you guys saw that video.
That fire suit. Such a good suit.
Ready to tell you guys how I saw this coming with Scottie. I mean, I called it on the show on Wednesday, guys. Nobody believed in it. We're going to get to the PGA Tour, of course.
Nobody believed. Nobody.
Scottie, no one wanted to ride with me on that one. Scottie Scheffler, of course, wins the Memorial. Linnea Strom shoots a final round 60 to win on the LPGA Tour from 52nd place. We're going to talk about that. I believe LIV just wrapped. Carlos Ortiz and the Cleeks won. A massive result for TC's squad. Lynn Grant shot a final round 65 to win the Volvo Scandinavian Mixed to hunt down Sebastian Soderberg. That's a wild sentence. He shot a final round 77. That happened. Ryan Gerard won the BMW Charity Pro-Am.
One of the players in the world.
Cassie Porter won the Firekeepers Casino Hotel Championship. We're going to talk Memorial. We're going to talk a little LIV, little DP World Tour, LPGA. We're going to revisit the events of June 6th. Just what's happened over the past year.
Tron's wedding? What?
A lot of comments coming out this past week. Adam Schupak, of course, talking to the mules. We got that. We're gonna at the end. We're gonna open up a commentator sweepstakes. I feel like we envisioned this when we started doing the live shows, and we have not followed up on doing it. But just throw in as many questions as you want. We'll get to as many as possible. No time to prepare for them at all. Kind of a fun little grab bag at the end.
What could go wrong there?
That is the run of show. If you did not get to catch the end of the Memorial, first of all, Scottie opened 67-68, has a 3-shot lead Saturday afternoon as he gets to the 9th. He's probably about minus 400 to win the tournament. He dead yanks one left, lost ball, makes a triple bogey, get back into a tie for the lead with Adam Hadwin. At this moment, I was in North Carolina this past week, which is, of course, a FanDuel allowed state. I was like, let's just check what his odds are currently. He went all the way down to minus 120 when he was tied for the lead on Saturday. Your boy could not have pounced on that any faster or any harder than I did. Again, of course, he ended the day with a 4-shot lead despite the triple bogey on Saturday.
He went down to what? Minus what?
Minus 120.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. What a heady play.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean, it was
free money.
It was absolutely
on the dip.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Classic.
Strokes gain approach.
You see the halving here over the last 45 minutes.
His strokes gain approach for the first 3 days, second, third, and first. He would go out in a 1/37 on Sunday, but would proceed to hit what I think I called a sociopathic shot at the pin on 12. But Colin Morikawa playing with him, poured in a long birdie putt from deep, and Scottie missed his putt. So the lead was just one, leaving the 12th green, and Scottie missed a short kind of shaky putt there on the 13th, and then lipped a birdie on the 15th. But Morikawa had a chance to tie him, but badly missed a 6-footer. Morikawa had a great putting week, but missed a couple key putts there in the back nine on Sunday. On the 16th hole, the freshly redesigned, but somehow still playing the exact same 16th hole, Scottie played out right and then drained a bomb par putt to stretch the lead to 2. He make a bogey on 17 to cut the lead to 1. Drove in the fairway on 18 as Morikawa drove in the bunker. They both went long, had difficult up and downs. Morikawa got it inside Scottie, but Scottie had 4 feet 9 inches from above the hole and poured it in. Got the coolest handshake in golf, is greeted with his wife and baby on the side of the green, and of course wins for the 5th time in his last 8 starts.
Jeez.
It's a lot of wins. Always
That's
cool.
So many wins.
Always cool as well to see the ceremonial Muirfield Village chip off to end the tournament, as we seem to see every year. And that one trickles just into the rough here on 18. That seems to happen every time. But I thought Trevor said it just expertly at the end. I mean, what more can you say about Scottie at this point? But he kind of rattled off. He's like, the guy has won at Bay Hill, Sawgrass, Masters, Harbor Town, and now Muirfield Village in the last like 4 months. That's like a career for somebody. Like if you offered that career to somebody, they would be like, oh my God, I never got this far in my dreams. Scottie has done it in his last 8 starts. He just said, I mean, it's just,
and multiple times at every one of those, I guess Heritage and Memorial first time, but
yeah,
won the other 3 multiple times. I mean,
It's
are you
just-
kidding?
it's
Like
nuts.
he's got a thing for like legacy. You know, those are all like legacy, a lot of
Blue chip
prestige.
dubs.
Even before we declared them, SIG events, they were a big deal. They've been a big deal for the past 20 years. So that's incredible.
A lot of clothing associated with a lot of those as well. He's got a pretty freaking full closet at this point. As without thinking about this too much, all right? Don't put too much thought into this.
Circle back on that.
Okay.
Sure.
Don't think about this too much. If I was to ask you, how much money has Scottie Scheffler earned on the course so far this year?
$19 million.
Ooh, on the course, I'm gonna go a little lower, like 13 million.
So close, Neil. 24 million so far on the course this year.
Jesus, really?
This is Jason
Yeah,
Silva
I
tweeted
guess.
it.
Yeah, he's winning $4 million for these. Oh, shit.
He's averaging 1.8 million per start so far in 2024. It's absolutely ridiculous.
That's what was kind of funny when the LIV money really started getting splashed around, and then the tour purses go up like crazy. It was kind of funny to see who was looking around the corner in the right way and who was looking around the corner in the wrong way, where it's like, oh, I mean, all these purses are going up like crazy. Like, as long as you're just like beat the shit out of everybody every week, like you're going to make just as much money as those LIV guys. And for Scottie, it's like, yeah, I mean, as long as you're just like the best player of your generation by like a mile, like you're going to be making the same amount as, Richard Bland and like some of those guys over there. It's just really funny.
He finished the week with 13 strokes gained approach for the total week. The second was Adam Hadwin at 7.5. And no one else had more than 5.1. So he had more than double strokes gained approach the third guy on the list, which was Justin Thomas this past week.
I mean, we might have to start monitoring which players Ted Scott is going to be ahead of on the money list, right? That's probably what, like 2.4. Well, so let's call it, be conservative, $2 million he's put away this year so far, outside of the chip in money that he has to give back to Scottie. So we'll call it 1.9, right?
And I don't know if he gets prorated down because he missed that day at the PGA as well.
Sure,
so
of course. But like, when I have to look at the money list,
he might make the tour championship on his own. Ted Scott, like I think he's going to be top. Last I'd looked and done the math, he was like top 40 on PGA Tour earnings for this year. He's got to be inching closer. I mean, he made, what's 3.6, so another 360K today as well. It's pretty freaking absurd. Have you guys come up with any different ways to? We said this last time. Was like, hey, we got to come up with a different way to talk about how good Scottie is. You guys come up with anything? I got nothing. Other than I got a bunch of questions still to answer here.
I got something. I got an analogy for you. You know how I liked it. I Scottie. He reminds me. It's going to sound very stupid, but he reminds me of water. He's just. It's not flashy. It's fluid, but it wears everybody down. Like the way that the energy it took for like Colin to make that putt on 12. You referenced the 12th hole today. It's like Scottie is just relentlessly putting the ball inside 10 feet. And even when he's missing those putts, it's just like another wave's coming right after it. Another one's coming. And it's like, he just wears people down. It's You can't fight off like water's powerful, baby. Water's scary. It's not flashy though. He's not fire. He's not burning the place down. It's just really, really methodical. And over time, I'm starting to really appreciate it much more.
Might need to start calling him Bruce Lee.
Are we experiencing this? Is this a tsunami then? Like, is that what this is?
Starting to feel like one. I mean, I don't know. Might have to take that offline and workshop it a little bit, Deej.
Yeah, let me think on that. I did want to circle back, Saul. You mentioned the clothing. I don't know why it's taking me this long to realize. Thank you, Cody. I don't know why it's taking me this long to realize this, but the gray jackets stink. Get those out of here.
I had that in my notes too, Deej.
Really?
Especially with the yellow shirts. I know what we're trying to do, but it's just not really playing for me.
I think there was a time where like a country club jacket was like an unironic expression of like community. I think that time's passed, and it's pretty clearly an outrageous thing to do, to like wear a jacket like with your secret club and like its patch on it, which is why I respect like Colonial, Harbor Town, some of these places are like, we're gonna make the jacket so outrageous that like it's okay, like it's it's kind of a bit. It's like the Shriners hats or something, it's like come on, it's a pretty dumb like made up club thing. And the memorial stuff, just they try to make it look too normal and too like it's just I'm sorry, it's very Dublin, Ohio, just very repressed. We're gonna do it, but we're not really gonna do it. It's just it's disgusting. Take it away.
It's not my people, just for the record. I was not a Muirfield Village member growing up, but
Deej, I had it in my notes that it should be more of a houndstooth. You got to have a pattern. It has to be exactly what you said. Like it has to be.
One used to be seersucker. That was great.
Yeah, it's got to be a statement, and the gray is just like it feels like an afterthought.
Really,
and then
Willie Loman shit.
Yeah, and paired with the gold, it just feels really tired, and I don't like that because Jack's getting old, so it's like, oh man, that doesn't look very good in the booth. I'm not really vibing with it.
And I even could get down on the CBS jackets. Are like the classic, they're similar, but at least those are dark. And for whatever reason, the dark makes more sense for me. Thank you guys for that. Simon Lamson asking a question, and I should have left it. This is kind of he's on your block here, Neil. So
sure.
if you want to, give him a little jab here to make sure he stays off your block. Over under total wins for Scottie this year, 6.5. So that'd be 1.5 more for the remainder of this year. Of this season or this year. I think they're kind of the same thing, right?
So we've got at least 6. What do you think he plays? 8 more times?
We got three playoff events. We got 2 more majors.
2 majors.
Another Siggy after probably 6 or 7 times more, I would think.
Okay, so he wins
probably
half
7
of those.
more tournaments. Yeah. Are we counting the Olympics? Has anybody in the world of golf talked about the Olympics yet? Do we know who's on the team?
I don't know who's on the team.
Is this an Olympic year? Allegedly. Well, yeah. Just anyways, put that aside as well. Just haven't thought about that even in the slightest. But I was flying through Paris on the way back from Scandinavia. I was like, oh right, the Olympics are here. Like, is anybody going to the Olympics? Who's on the team? Is Max gonna be like an Olympian? Should ask him about that. Anyways, I'd say
Scottie gonna qualify.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I think Simon set a good line here, but I'm gonna go over. I think he wins twice. I feel like he's going to clip a playoff event, or he'll be so far up in the FedEx Cup he wins the Tour Championship. Right. So that's one. You can always count on that one because he's going to start with such a head start.
You can only be so far up, but right with the strokes. But giving him a head start seems bad for the field.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I think I don't even need to ask this. We think he's probably going to get one of the last 2 majors, right? I don't think anybody sitting here. I don't want to put words in your mouth. I'm not betting against that he's going to get one of the next remaining 2 majors. I think he's going to win next week.
Which one? If you had to coin flip, if you could only pick him for one,
he's going to win.
You're in a one and done pool.
I think U.S. Open. I mean, the way he plays when it gets really tough, the approach game, it looks really nice for Pinehurst. I mean, the way he drives it straight down the fucking middle every hole looks really good at Pinehurst. Like
you're on the wrong block for like whether or not. Like what the scouting is for next week for Pinehurst. What is the Pinehurst Police Department up to next week is probably the only potential. That's the only potential. That's the only course setup. What's the credentialing like to get on site is the only remaining question I think for next week.
Well, it's an anchor site, so I got to think that their logistics are dialed.
Cody, can you
feel better about
it.
Are you sure? You sure you want me to be on the stage? Fuck. Come on, guys.
Yeah, we want you in here.
Hey, what are they gonna? What are they
Which,
gonna
by the way,
what's
completely blown out of proportion last time. Go ahead, Deej.
What's gonna be the biggest issue? Is it the big roundabout there on Highway 2?
No, because the traffic. So they hold them out by Sandhills Community College out by the airport, or they go all the way west out by Taylortown. So you don't really get traffic inside the village or the cross section of Southern Pines. Kind of sucks, but there's gonna be a lot of buses, and it's just gonna be uber slow. But overall, traffic wise, it's pretty well taken care of.
Well, I was just down there last month, and I mean, they're doing so much infrastructure stuff as an anchor site, which talking to like the USGA allows these courses to put the investment in, and like they're using the racetrack. They got the racetrack. They got a lot of extra space with the other courses. They'll be using number 1 to park cars and stuff too.
By racetrack, it's a harness racetrack. It's very, very small. So don't get that blown out of proportion. It's not Talladega down there, but
no, you're right. You're right. They have space though. That's what I'm saying.
We'll get to this a little bit later on. One of the most overrated restaurants in town, the Track Restaurant. Anybody
I was going to bring it up, but I didn't want to blow up.
Don't go there. All right. I blame it on these guys.
It's a greasy spoon. It can't be that bad. Come on, I had a good meal there. That's that. We'll take that offline.
I will say this: between Moore County PD and everything else they have going around there, I think they're just so used to having like big events. I think they'll be somewhat taken care of, unless I don't know, somebody tried to go backwards around the roundabout. That would be interesting. Maybe somebody tries to attack those the protective woodpeckers. Yeah, there you go. Or maybe one of those massive black squirrels tries to get on somebody. Who knows?
Do we know what
crazy things happen?
What's the value of the pants that the Pinehurst policemen wear? Is it over under? Maybe is it over under $80? I think is an important question.
Probably.
That on our list for the preview.
Couple more Scottie questions. I feel like this is the put some of these things to the test. Boxing fan 3333. Can we admit Scheffler is better than 2015 Spieth?
Yeah.
I say that to say like this is the best player we've seen in our time doing this. Like we started the podcast in 2014. Tiger has never been that version of Tiger. There's no version of Tiger that we've seen that has been better than this. No version of any player that we've seen has been anything like this. Jason Day had a crazy run at one point, but did not have the finishes in between, and that's like the sustainability over spanning like 3 years now to support this. Like this is a total freak. Like I think he's on the way to having a better career than Phil. Like I would be stunned if he doesn't have more than 6 majors and more wins than Phil Mickelson had in his career, which is like the better comp for him than Tiger. But that's kind of where we're at right now.
I mean, Solly, I'll do it for you. Almost going, with the strokes gained. 2015 Spieth versus Scottie right now. It's like almost a full shot better. It's like literally every day they show up to the golf course, it's almost a full shot better. It's just, again, it's like we going back to, whatever that was a couple months ago, we were talking about like finding the batting average or the OPS or whatever for some of these guys to just illustrate it. It's like strokes gained is the closest we have. Just imagine those two guys get out of the car, assuming they both get to the golf course. They get out of the car and Scottie beats him by a shot every fucking day. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy how good it is.
And it's worth noting, one shot like that, if that doesn't sound like a lot, that is monumental. That's enormous. That's a massive, massive, massive advantage. Like that's what greatness is decided in that one shot.
Which is why he's going to win the Tour Championship, because they're just going to give him one.
That's what he hasn't done that though. Like he has kind of collapsed at the Tour Championship every time he's had a chance to win that prize. I have a feeling this year will be different as well, but another great question from Steve.
Well, hold on. Sorry, Cody, I sent you a tweet from Justin Ray that I think sums up like the strokes gained. I'm not going to argue with that data, but something that summed up the eye test for me.
I'm not going to argue with that data.
No, I'm not. But it's like sometimes that stuff
doesn't. I'm working on my own models, but I'm not ready to release those quite yet.
The strokes gained stuff sometimes is hard. It's like abstract. Right. It's hard to put your head around like what does one stroke better than everybody else mean? Like you're telling me it's massive, but I can't really see that.
Yeah.
And so Justin Ray was just going by like how much more Scottie Scheffler hits it inside 10 feet, like basically than everybody else. And shout out to Tom Hoagie because he's 15.9% this year and Scottie's 15.5%. But like this week, he goes on these heaters that don't really feel like heaters. All players over the last 2 seasons, they hit it inside 10 feet 12.3% of the time. This week, Scottie Scheffler, I think it says 26.2%. And that's what I see when I'm watching him, you know, where it's just like every time he's gotten approached, every time he's in the fairway, he's just stuffing the pinata. And that's the kind of stuff that's like, whoa, and it doesn't feel like it's an out of body thing. It feels very normal. His reaction feels normal. It's very routine. And that's the part that is so amazing to me.
I think Brandel was saying this. Again, I know this is a repeat from a couple months ago, but Brandel was saying, the other interesting thing about him is like, he's not a big like workout freak. He's not like a tinkerer that's going to go change his swing. He doesn't seem like, he's going to get super bored of family life. I mean, who knows? People change, but he seems like he's got his feet on the ground. I think certainly some of the police video that was released this week would illustrate he just seems like a pretty grounded dude, even in the worst of circumstances. So it just doesn't seem like he's just gonna like get up and fly away. I mean, things happen. The putting thing, who knows? But like, I was gonna ask you guys, how long ago does the putting troubles feel like?
Well, we were talking about on the happy hour, like this 1 year ago was like rock bottom when it was like, he could, God, it's like still, I can't remember the stat, but it just blows my mind.
He lost by 1 last year while losing 2 strokes per round to the field in putting. If he'd have putted neutral, he'd have won by 7. He'd have won the tournament by 7 by putting neutral, average to the PGA Tour. That's how good the ball striking is.
Runner up, dead last in putting, and he's runner up. When we talk about like, oh, these guys like they proximity to the hole, and then if they just catch fire with the putter, that's the key. But it's like it doesn't. His putting, he could fucking be runner up, and he can putt the worst in the field for 4 straight days. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And so that was rock bottom, and now here we are, right? It's unbelievable. And today the putter didn't look great, but it still feels like it takes so much less effort for him to, keep it together than for, Morikawa's got to bury some big putts just to stay alive. And he's just like, every hole, he's just in it, man. He's just inside 10, 15 feet with a look. It's incredible.
I mean, nobody plays their A game. Nobody plays their A game 5 times in 8 starts. Like he won today without his A game. Like that's the shit that's like super scary. And the strokes, like you were saying, like it's hard to like contextualize. And they have this stuff on the Data Golf website that like shows like this is just like his approach play from 150 to 200. Like these sliders are like the percentiles. Like he's like 99th percent. Like it's just hard to.
It's build a player in a video game.
It is.
You just slide it up.
It's like when you've built this, but this is when you start back over and like do it again with a crazier outfit in the EA Sports game, just like because you've kind of already beaten the game. Like he's beaten the game. It's completely absurd. Couple question.
What did that translate into as far as watching for you guys today? Because we've said this a couple times over the last year, like. The more someone wins, the more exciting they tend to get. Did that carry through today? Neil, how are you feeling watching the end?
I mean, I was rooting for Morikawa to hold that chip. Like I wanted to see kind of more of a shootout because it didn't feel to me like Colin was going to catch him like the whole back 9. I was like, Scottie, this is kind of, it feels inevitable that Scottie's just going to, be between the mustard and mayo, and that is a little bit boring. So what you're kind of rooting for is like, I need one of you other guys, one of you other dogs, in air quotes, to have a like out of body experience to catch this guy, which is like Deej, what you're saying, like that is amazing, but it probably doesn't feel quite as exciting as it should. And maybe that's because there's a little bit of maybe a lack of fist pumps and the way he does it, like today, he didn't make a ton of putts. He didn't chip in. There's not a lot of exciting moments where you go back to someone like Tiger. They had golf's greatest rounds on earlier this week, like Torrey Pines US Open. And he's just made, the putts he made against Rocco, it's just like, this is like, he's an alien. It's unbelievable. Like, it's just a knack for like doing it the hard way almost. Tiger had of like making these like 20 and 30 footers. And I feel like Scottie is not quite, he's not doing it that way. So there's a lack of maybe, he's water. He's not fire. It goes back to my original take.
I think it's not Scottie's fault. Like he needs a rival, and it needs to be one guy.
Sure.
Like he needs a challenger, right? And it can't kind of be a revolving door of Morikawa and Xander and Rory. Like there's got to be a dude that steps up and says like, "Hey, I'm at least you're Phil, right? I'm at least like gonna be the clear second best player of this like generation and run." Because it didn't. I'll tell you this. Thursday, when his tee time start, like when his round went off, it was one of the few times this year on a Thursday where I was like, I know what time his tee time is, and I kind of need to be near this. Like, I was kind of like the way when we started doing this, I was with Tiger at least. I was like, he was off at 12:54. Like, I know he's off 10 at 12:54. I know that. Scottie's entering that period, right? Or that like zone of like, dude, it's time to track your round from the jump, which the PGA Tour is lacking at this point. But was it like exciting and thrilling today? It didn't quite feel that way, maybe because I just didn't watch much Thursday through or Friday and Saturday. I didn't get to see a whole lot, but I don't know. It feels like it should be a bigger deal than it is. But you just get to like what we're doing right now. I'm like, dude, I'm kind of out of way of describing how freakish you are at golf. And
it's hard. I was thinking about it. I mean, Solly, obviously, we've been watching a lot more baseball. Check out the Steamsters episode on Trap Draw. There's no home runs in golf. There's no like strikeouts. There's no legging out triples, really like exciting plays. So like I'm trying to think of like what the equivalent is.
Well, there
he's
are
like a pitcher that's just like, dude, he hasn't had a 3-0 count in 8 months. Like, he just gets ahead of everybody. It's like, well, yeah, that's not that exciting though, but it's like crazy good. It's just not that, I don't know how you could make it too much more exciting. Like, he just slowly suffocates everybody over like 4 days, and he does it really methodically. And like, in contrast, like when it was Tiger, it was fist pumps, man. And it was like a different character. And it was a guy that like had so much more of a flair for the dramatic, which I think made you root for very dramatic.
But Spieth was different. So Tiger, I don't think is the good comp here, but Spieth was a weird thrill ride that was just like, dude, I
guess because it always felt like it could have like.
Well, it's like he's Houdini. Right? It's like, how's he going to get out of this one? Yeah. It's like a TV show. Like, oh, he's in a jam again. Like that's the beauty of Spieth. But
and I think the other
kind of ran out.
The other comp is probably Rory, like 2014 Rory, which was like the prodigious driving that now is like, I'm not saying a million people like drive it the way that he does now, but like there are guys that drive it long and straight very repeatably, like Scottie, in a way that Rory did in 2014. So that doesn't even stand out as much. So it's just kind of this amalgamation of everything.
And I agree with two quick points. One is like there's a highlight reel of Tiger at Memorial floating around earlier this week of like the 2 irons into 11, and like today Scottie laid up on 11 and then hit it to like 12 feet, which is like that it's awesome, and it's really I'm wrong there, but he did lay up. So anyway, I can't think of a hole today that I have I can't really, other than his shot into 12. It's like this proximity to the hole over and over again, but nothing that's like rolling up to like 2 feet. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like there's no like highlight today.
It's almost like they need like a map on the green, like a video game map that's just like the average player hits it inside of this ring, like on every shot that he hits, just so you can see that like every time he hits it inside of that.
And then the second piece, yes, I agree completely with that. The second piece is, I completely agree with you on he doesn't have a rival. And sometimes what I get out of Colin and out of Xander is like, I don't doubt how good these guys are. And the numbers prove it out. And the win at the PGA for Xander, but they're not mean. They're not bullies. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago. It's like today, even Colin, it feels like, oh, shucks, I'm not going to do it again. Like, oh, bummer. It's like, we need a villain or like somebody that's like not scared, man. Like because Scottie's the nice guy. He's nice and he's just really, really good. So you almost need like a different personality to go against them. And you're right. There's a vacuum there right now. And
it was scary when just looking at the Data Golf like court fit tool on Wednesday and seeing that Scottie Scheffler was one of the best fits for the golf for that. And it reminded me, what it reminded me of a ton of was Roback, because it's best fit and the best feel. And it's summer and we are living in Roback. They just released their American Summer collection. It is fantastic beyond the golf. They got bathing suits now. You can use to go from a hot day on the course straight to the pool. Guys, I've never pulled that off. I was in Asheville this past week at the Omni, and like there were people pulling off the straight from the golf course straight. There's a pool right by the 9th green, and I've never wanted the Robacks to play golf in the Roback suit more than that exact moment. The performance polos are fantastic. They're moisture wicking. They fit way better than old boxy polos. The shorts are fantastic. I love the everyday shorts. They got the elastic waistband, great to work out in, great to sleep in, great to wear around the house in the summer. The looper shorts are great for the golf course. They got the belt loops, to tuck a polo into. The fabric is great. They're comfortable. The hoodies, We got 3 of them on right here, all different colors. They're fantastic. Our favorite hoodies to wear. They're very comfortable. You can wear them on the course or off. If you haven't already, load up on some Rhoback for yourself or for others. Code NLU, rhoback.com. 20% off your first order through the end of this week. That's RHOBACK.com. 20% off bottoms, Q-zips, hoodies, and more with code NLU. Summer is not the same without Rhoback.
Barbara, they're saying that the gray's tired. We should get some Rhobacks for next year. How about that?
A few other names at the top of the leaderboard. We mentioned Morikawa ends up losing by 1 or finishing second by 1 place. It's hard to call it losing, but only I'm counting 11 scores under par for the week. Adam Hadwin finished third at 4 under. Christian Bezuidenhout finished at -3. Fitz, Ludwig, and Sepp Straka finishing at T5. Not loving the mobility I'm seeing out of Ludwig. He's doing the old Brooks Koepka like tough bend down to read putts. And I don't know a lot about his current health situation. I don't love that sign for. I joke about him being old, but he's actually not that old to be.
It does look like he's T5 on one leg. So
yeah. Oh, he's a freak.
You can look at that half full, half empty, right? But I agree with you. He does look like he's banged up a little bit.
Worth mentioning in his press conference, he got asked specifically about his prognosis, and he refused to go into any details. Someone asked, "Hey, we heard it's a torn meniscus," and he said, "I am not going to comment. That's between me and my doctor." Which is interesting.
Yeah, and that's not a HIPAA compliant question there.
And then the other thing was, is it affecting you on the golf course? He said, absolutely not. I am practicing full go 100%, and I feel no pain when I'm on the course. So don't disagree with you guys. Obviously, if he's reading the putts in a different way, then there's something going on. But just balancing out with what he put on the record.
I would like to call it the T8. We got Hideki and Sungjae.
Before we do that, I want to shout Sepp Straka. That dude continues to play golf, man. And he shot 4 over today, but still finish 2 under par and T5. Like, he just continues to produce results. He's had just a fantastic year and just feels
You're going to apologize for dogging him for the Ryder Cup team last year?
Absolutely not. He went 1 and 2 in the Ryder Cup. I was spot on that one. Thank you for bringing. I'm really actually
big point on day one, though. You know that.
Thank you very much.
Big point.
He was not good in the Ryder Cup, so I was spot on. Thank you. But it just feels extremely normal to watch him play golf on the weekends and finish easy. T5 at the Heritage, T8 at Wells Fargo. He was T11 at Zurich. He missed the cut at the PGA. I'm going to need some more out of him there. But it's been a big leap he's made this year. So I want to shout that out. Way to try to bring me down while I'm trying to shout out.
Fair enough. I just want to shout out Sungjae Im. I picked him as the top Asian finisher this week. He doubled the last hole to tie Hideki, so that was a dead heat split for me. But still a dub. Still a dub, people. After he shot 76 on day one, I was getting chirped all over the internet for it. And, I just want to say to all the haters and losers, look at me now. How's that taste?
So, shout out to Randy's FanDuel pick today as well. He said Morikawa winner without Scottie. That was plus 180, and that one closed very nicely. So
Solly presented without comment. Big Tone playing some golf. Stacking up a couple human results here.
That's so big of you to present that. To present that without comment. That's enormous of you. But what I don't want to open up too much of a discussion on this because I'm a little confused on it as well. But what do we think of how Muirfield Village played? Right? Did the firmness and difficulty of the golf course lead to a somewhat unexciting Sunday? And if you're listening to this and you're like, "What the hell do you guys actually want out of a golf course?" I agree with you here because I'm a little confused as well because we want it to be firm, you want it to be difficult, you want to see them challenged. Sometimes I wonder. I like the results we saw in the final few holes with Muirfield Village specifically, or where some of the critiques come in of like, yeah, when it's super firm with just thick rough around the greens, like you're just going to bound it over the greens and all end up kind of in the same spots. There was a little bit of that. It wasn't like Bay Hill bad, but just a little bit of that. I was feeling that a little bit, especially the 16th hole, 18th hole. I've never liked 17th as well. Like that finish is just pretty, I don't know. It doesn't promote a ton of exciting golf coming down the finish. I'm wondering if you guys have any color to add to that.
I would agree with that. I've been to this golf course many, many times. And I say that only to say, like, I don't remember that many shots from here. There's a couple. Obviously the Tiger chip in is a freak shot from 16, but other than that, it's like, you're kind of at the mercy of the leaderboard a little bit. And like, are you going to get a duel because there's a bunch of big names up there that are going back and forth? But outside of that, it kind of ends up being a lot of what you're saying. It's like survival test, but not 13, in like a super exciting way.
But 13, 14, 15, I feel like are well contoured greens that like create some really interesting shots and really good exchanges of value throughout it. 16, 17, 18, I think is like the total opposite, right? That's where
I would even go forward 10, 11, 12. I feel like everything up to 15 is really strong.
I think 9's sick too.
Yeah. So there, it's not like the golf. It's not, again, not a Bay Hill situation where the entire golf course is a complete and total disaster. It's just like I some of those shots down the finish just kind of I don't know if at least like if I can defend Valhalla, it was like you're gonna see some like crazy stuff happen near the end, and this one's just kind of like a little hard for the sake of hard to finish it off. And I part of me wonders if it's to protect par and so Jack can have the scores low and want it to be challenging and all that. And I again. There's no like good answer on all these things, right? We could to fully explain what I'm feeling and thinking about it would take 45 minutes, and I don't think that's good TV. So, but I feel very complicated about this golf course as it goes forward, and kind of just I know it's Jack's baby. I kind of wanted to see someone else touch it up a little bit and add some more short grass around the greens and really, really, really create some intrigue around these green complexes.
I think some of it is like other than Scottie on number 9, like you're not going to see a lot of like massive explosions, right? Like when somebody misses, it's going to be like they're going to make bogey from there, and there's not the like US Open style like that ball keeps rolling, oh my god, he's dead from there, he might make a 7. Like there's not that massive downside risk, so it's like an execution test where it's like either you pass or fail, and if you fail, you're probably not going to make like a double or a bogey. Like you're probably going to make like a bogey or double. You're not going to make like a triple or have some sort of like spectacular blow up. So maybe as like for me, who's like certainly not an expert on this stuff, it's like maybe I'm missing that a little bit. I'm missing a little bit of the chaos of like number 10 at Riv, where it's like, oh man, if he misses in that bunker, like strap in, like we might see, there might be an 8. You don't really have that out there. So it is a lot of like kind of boring bogeys probably.
Yeah. But it also has a ton of good stuff going for it, right? It's one of the courses that like has enough width that I feel like accuracy is like properly emphasized and rewarded out here more than just like some of the more narrow golf courses as well. So I don't know. I just 16. I can't believe they still can't get that right. Cody, I don't know if you have the shot chart from this final round. Again, downwind, like it feels like it is every single year. Nobody got within 21 feet of that pin. Like you can't even hit it at the pin, which I'm not saying you have a God-given right to hit at it, but like. Again, all the balls are collecting in the exact same spots because no one can hold the green still, despite them improving that angle slightly and supposedly softening the green. And, they got rid of a bunker that protected the front right and created a little bit more grass over there. It's still just like, dude, it just feels like a total crapshoot when you get to the 70th hole of the tournament. And this lake was not there when I was growing up. Like they added this lake. It's not like they have to have a lake in this spot. Like it's not, I cannot understand how they spend this much time and money on this hole, and it seems to somehow be getting worse. I really don't understand it.
All that water just showed up when Scottie started playing the tournament.
There you go. Just over time, man. It's unbelievable. It just collects low-lying areas.
I will say, like the crowd, the crowds looked enormous. I know they're usually big for this tournament, but it like really popped on TV this week. How just massive. Like when Scottie was coming up the 13th green, just lined up 10 deep. I've again been to this tournament many times growing up. Like this is what it felt like when you were following like the big groups back in that day. I don't want to compare it to a Tiger crowd. Like that was just a different kind of thing, but man, just 10, 20 deep on some of these holes that, promote a lot of good stadium seating. And it was, I don't know, that was a little pick me up in terms of like, I feel like the tour needed a little vibe, increase after, the year that's been, and it felt like they got that this week a little bit.
Solly, how you feeling about the going to the week before the US Open instead of Memorial Day?
I kind of want to see it play out. I think I like it. And we're going SIG event, major SIG event in a row here. I had that on the list to ask you guys if that's a good thing. I kind of think it is. Like it's going to be a really busy, intense month, but Jack doesn't like it, but I kind of like it. I think I like Bay Hill, the fact that Bay Hill rolls into the players as well. I don't know. I kind of like that big when Bridgestone used to roll into the PGA Championship and everyone was together and you kind of had the storylines just build themselves right into it. I think I like it. I don't know. I'm curious your guys' thoughts too.
I mean, I kind of wish it was Memorial, Travelers, and then the US Open. I don't know. I'm worried that the Travelers is going to be hard for me to get up for after US Open. So it's like SIG, major SIG, the SIG's going to feel like a bit of a downgrade.
Always one too many SIGs at the end of the night.
Yeah,
you
too many SIGs, man. We didn't need that last bogey.
We're gonna talk SIGs on the back half as well. We can we'll have a plan to get to there.
I will say, I mean, I think this benefits the USGA probably more than it benefits the PGA Tour. But like Scottie Scheffler winning on the Sunday before your tournament is certainly better for your TV ratings and for interest and everything than it would be him winning 8 days before your tournament. So I think there's a positive there. But yeah, I'm with you. Kind of wait and see. Boring answer, but let's see how it goes.
I don't have a specific reason to want the gap in between it, right? That's kind of more of where that one almost feels like a letdown a little bit when Canadian Open was in that slot. But
wow, what a stray!
one other stat that
friends up north.
CBS said that it was Scottie's the first time to win 5 times before the U.S. Open since Tom Watson in 1980. Which blows my mind that Tiger never did that amongst all those runs. This was also Scottie's first win past the month of April.
Curse is broken.
Did Tom Watson win the 1980 U.S. Open?
I don't believe he did.
No, I'm trying to remember where that was.
Let's see. Jack Nicklaus set the scoring record at Baltusrol and won that one.
Oh,
so
Stroll.
LIV Houston. The Cleeks did it. I think that's the big story here. I know TC. We're waiting. He's at the mercy of American Airlines, I believe, tonight.
We're coming back from a family wedding today, so we'll see. We'll see if he's able to pop on and talk about his beloved Cleeks.
And
he may have just bailed and driven to Houston.
To
go catch the end. Did you actually see him get on the plane?
I did not know.
So I mean, he might have gone to Houston to go watch the end. He might be partying the Cleeks clubhouse right now.
Deej, I can report we would have seen him on TV if he was there. I promise you we would have. Quickly, just always interesting, or maybe potentially interesting, just to look at major championship or performers in LIV events ahead of major championships. Week ahead of it, Patrick Reed finished 3rd. Is he in the U.S. Open? Actually, didn't even think about that.
He should be, right. Or no, Masters is only 5 years. He might be. Yeah, it might be.
I believe that he is not in the U.S. Open. He was signed up for final qualifying and pulled out because of I can't remember why. Oh, because he made the cut at the PGA Championship, and he didn't think that he could get there in time by that Monday morning. So he's not in the U.S. Open.
Okay. David Puig he did qualify for the U.S. Open. He finished in a tie for 3rd with Patrick Reed as well.
Is that how you pronounce it? Puig?
That's what I'm told.
Puig daddy.
That's what I'm told.
Oh, man.
Kepka finished 9th in a tie for 9th. He finished well at the 2014. We'll talk about all this in our U.S. Open preview tomorrow, but just kind of running through some of the names that you'd recognize to say, who's kind of playing well. The winner of the event was Carlos Ortiz. He beat Adrian Meronk on TC's Cleeks by 1 shot.
I'm just receiving word Cam Smith went double, triple today en route to a T48 finish.
Tough.
With another double on 18. That's not good.
Yeah, I don't really know what's up with that. I got to admit, I did not catch that on the broadcast. But
I'm just flagging that as like you want to talk about iron players at Pinehurst. You want to talk about good putters at majors.
Yeah, I feel like just from the little bit I watched of that today, I don't know if I'm correlating that golf course a whole lot with with Pinehurst. I don't know. I don't know if there's much to glean from that. It was my overall point on that.
Well, let me just say, just bottom line, I was in Texas. I don't have to tell Cody this. I was in the Fort Worth area for a family wedding. It was so hot in Texas. Like, if you had the choice on making a new schedule from scratch, I'm wondering why they picked Houston in June. I feel like there's nothing stopping you from going to anywhere, pretty much anywhere else in the world.
And look,
it just feels like an interesting pick.
Our feelings on LIV, I think, are well documented at this point. I think it's worth acknowledging and saying, like, there are cases to be made for like things that LIV brings to the golf world. They bring an event to Singapore. They bring an event, obviously, to Adelaide, which brings blah blah blah. Valderrama. They've brought golf to certain places, and do I think it's overall worth it for the teardown of professional golf? I of course don't, but like there's some points to be made of like, this is additive, this is opposite, blah 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 event. This is the dumbest fucking event they've ever put on. I really do think. Like, it's opposite a signature event. They've done a pretty good job of putting their events opposite terrible PGA Tour events and said like, oh, which one would you rather watch? Obviously this one. Can't pull that off this week. It's a way worse vibe, way hotter. Swamp Ass was out the ass. It's like over 100 real field the entire time.
But they do get to wear shorts, so I guess
they do
maybe
get to wear shorts. Nobody was there, and it's up against like a signature event of signature events on the PGA Tour. It's like, dude, what was the thought process with this one? Like, again, in the future of whatever's going to get worked out, we can work into some of those quotes as well. Like, I would really challenge the notion that they need 14 events if like one of them is going to look like that. Like, you don't put on enough events to have a dud of this size. Like the PGA Tour puts on 40 events, and yeah, there are more than 10 that are absolute duds in terms of vibe. But like, if you're going to upset the apple cart of the entire professional golf world, and this is going to be the final result, like, yeah, that's probably going to draw a little bit more of attention than you probably want for the wrong reasons. So that was just frustrating today. Like,
I will
why
give
the
them a
fuck is
shout out,
Bryson not at Memorial right now? This is so stupid.
I will give them a shout out though. I landed at Newark today. And they must have done a deal with Reach TV, the airport TVs, and they got it just live on like every terminal, every gate TV. I was like, damn, that's pretty good placement for the the Upstart League.
Yeah, I would never poke into the numbers, but I think that's where they get to maybe some of those like 18 billion people watched it.
Sure. And I actually kind of made a note of like I of course plane came in way down. I'm lugging the stroller. I'm like a freaking Everest Sherpa walking a baggage claim. And I was just trying to look like, is anybody watching? And I can't say that there were a lot of people that were locked in on the Reach TVs, but hey, good for them. They got a little distribution deal going at the airport.
I think the probably news of the week, as much as I love the Cleeks and their dub, would be the left foot infection of U.S. Open champion Jon Rahm. Potentially putting next week in jeopardy, potentially not. I don't know if we have any updated info. That was the latest that I saw. Did you guys see anything else on that? Rahm WD'd after, was it round 2?
6 holes. After 6 holes on Saturday, he WD'd with that infection.
And he's got a left foot infection.
Yes.
A potential lesion.
God damn it.
We don't know that.
Well, okay, so it's interesting. I didn't know it was a left foot infection. I did see the video of him grimacing in pain after a tee shot, which feels like a weird, like, did he open a wound? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how do you get 6 holes in and it looked like he tore something or his knee hurt or he twisted an ankle. It didn't look like the reaction of an infection was what I'm getting at.
I get these all the time. You get a blister that you think almost heals over and then a new blister on top of it. You don't realize that underneath there's like something wicked going on, and the original blister is actually like infected down there. I think
that sounds like a lesion to me.
Good. Well, it's not a lesion. What always ends up me is I end up having like cellulitis and my leg basically starts eating itself. It's a tough scene, but I'm happy that he's identified it this week, because next week you want to talk about like hot and a pretty big walk, like around Pinehurst this time of year is going to be, I would say, probably worse than Golf Club Houston.
Guys, I truly don't want to rule out that Rahm 6 holes in on Saturday, I was like, dude, I'm not going to do this. Like, it is 96 degrees. It's 68% humidity. There's nobody here. Like,
he's not keeping his socks dry, Cody.
I'm just not going to do this.
Okay. Reminds me a little, Cody, of the LPGA match play a couple years ago at Shadow Creek. Was it Shan Fang?
Yeah.
Yeah. She just said, I'm good,
man.
Yeah. For the runner-up match, for the third place match. She's like, I'm not going back out.
Open next week. Fuck
yeah.
Always change your socks, Neil. Good call.
Yeah.
I will say one thing, Solly. As of, I think, the close of this evening, the first mid-season trade window has closed for LIV. There's 0 trades that were completed. I had no clue really how this thing actually worked, except for I listened to one of their podcasts, the one that Jerry hosts, and I guess it had
Fairway
to be
to Heaven.
It had to be a match, so a like trade. You could not do like a free agent or a new player coming on to a team or anything else like that. So it was truly individual player on a team versus individual player on a team. No money involved at all. It was just 1 for 1. That's why nobody ended up getting traded across, which didn't make a lot of sense to me, but I don't know. It's done. Yeah. They tried.
Arbitration screwed this whole thing up.
In the new collective bargaining agreement, then we'll know a lot more.
No, but Cody, I appreciate you bringing that up, because I do think that is a bit of a missed opportunity by LIV. Like, on paper, it's like having some type of trade. That's like the NBA gets so much juice out of that. Just
it's everything.
Talking, it's trade machines and just what if this, what if that is like. come July 1st, that's all we're going to talk about for 2 weeks is who's getting traded where in the NBA. So
yeah, but basketball is also a team game, and you don't feel like a fucking idiot when you turn it on and you're rooting for a team. Whereas like I flipped on Live today and it was like Bryce hit the bad shot. It's like, oh, and that's terrible timing. Right as the Crushers were making a move. And I'm like, oh god, this is just fucking kill me. This is
if this whole thing is all about the team golf, though, you would think that at least the league would have forced somebody to complete a trade in order to make some of these fucking teams better. Because at the bottom, like half of this roster, it's so bad. It's so bad.
But a huge element of this would be like, hey, if so-and-so is locked up through 2027 and someone's on an expiring deal, like, and you want to clear up a spot, to go for it this, like an understanding for all of us of who's under
who
contract.
Makes what. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Like there's none of
that. The fact that that's not public intel. It's hard to root for. It's hard. What's hard to talk about because even for us, like legitimately would like to talk about it, but you can't because it's just guessing. Like we don't like how much money did Rahm get? We have no idea, right? Well, how does that impact his franchise? Doesn't matter, I guess, because somebody's just writing a blank check for it. So it's hard to it makes it hard to take serious for me.
And they signed a piece of paper a year ago that was like, oh yeah, this is gonna like Monahan gets to decide what's gonna happen with LIV. Of course, that is not how this ended up playing out, but that it's just all contributing to this landscape that I feel like we've talked about this probably.
I was gonna say maybe an inelegant transition here, but allow me to try it before we kind of rehash some of the same stuff we've said before. But I'm starting to feel the same way with a lot of the PIF, SSG, PGA Tour restructuring stuff where I'm just like, man, I just don't have the capacity to really care about who's meeting where, what's going on, because there's no I don't think there's like a secret lockbox that somebody has like the idea in that like once we get all this shit hammered out, man, it's just all going to be fixed and all this stuff's going to go away. And that's kind of what I think came to a head for me this week when the transaction subcommittee, I'm sorry, is hashing stuff out on Zoom. I'm just like, man, who gives a shit about this stuff? I've reached my limit. I'm declaring bankruptcy because I just don't know what. Maybe I'm just I have a lack of vision here, but I don't know what's around the corner. And that's kind of how I feel about LIV too. Is just like I have no doubt that like all of you guys feel like this is really important behind the scenes. But like I don't think I have a place in this anymore, and I kind of wish you all the best. Let me know if there's any updated information.
Cool. Well, look forward to talking about that with you here.
No, that's what I was trying to get at. Are you guys feeling any of that? What was your takeaways this week?
I can't. There's a press release that came out from the PGA Tour that's of course said nothing. Like I think I've lost faith that we're gonna end up with something that is like a unified, fun professional golf world. Like I think there was, the reason I got so hyped about what Rory had presented was just like this makes sense as far as an entertainment product and standpoint, right? Whereas I'm just not hearing anybody else talk like that. It's really important that we all play golf against each other together, like 20 times a year. Like Rory's quotes this week were like, yeah, they're not slowing down anytime soon. And like, there might be a way to work it out in the future where you can kind of do both. Is like, yeah, kind of missing the whole point, right? It's just, unless you're all there at Muirfield, I don't know. Maybe you are all at Muirfield Village. Maybe there is 8 signature events where everybody gets together and then you go play, maybe hopefully it's less LIV events. Maybe it's 10. So 10 LIV events, 8 signature events, and 4 majors is 22 starts. Like that seems like a reasonable ask of people, but it just seems like it's so messy that I don't.
Well, it seems kind of like the issue that I see with LIV a little bit is you're trying to do too much. Like you're doing the team golf and the individual thing. And so you can't do both. Like if LIV is a team golf event, they should focus on the team golf. Right. And you can still celebrate individual players. You can still, who's the low round, who's the low individual and stuff. I just think that they miss an opportunity because I do think there is a place in golf for like a team league, but they've insisted on trying to split the difference. And that's kind of what I'm sensing from all these talks going on between, are we merging? Are we not? It's just like, you're going to try to placate everybody. And, some guys aren't going to want to do a global tour. They're like, why can't we go to the John Deere? We've been doing it forever. I love the John Deere. It's like, well,
I think there's like something, I don't know. There's probably something to be said for that as well.
There is something to be said for that. But at the same time, like that's not going to make, public investment fund of Saudi Arabia happy. I don't think they want to go to the Quad Cities. That's not going to get a deal done, Deej.
Well, if we can let's have a little fun looking back at the events that have transpired since last June 6th as we passed the 1-year anniversary.
Because there's a lot of funny stuff in here, and that's why I was in on this for so long. And now I don't know if I can keep doing it, man.
But I think there's one more, like an important thing to note before we move on from LIV Houston was like, if you're going to be playing golf in 96-degree heat, you got to be lathered up with your sunscreen this summer, guys. You got to be
100%.
Got to be lathered up. There's a lot to not like about wearing sunscreen on the golf course. It gets in your hands. It can compromise your grip. For those with glandular issues, that presents big problems. It feels greasy. It's sticky. You smell like a banana. It's tough to carry around. It stings when it gets in your eyes. It's not a problem. When you use Oars and Alps, they've made it their mission to create sunscreen that eliminates those problems. Golfers are 250% more likely to get skin cancer. It matters. Get the tops of your ears. That's what my dermatologist tells me. Arm yourself this season with sunscreen that's designed for the course with hands-free spray options, lightweight and fast-absorbing formulas, refreshing scents, travel sizes. You actually look forward to using them. Big key with the Oars and Alps, incredible spray. Great spray radius. That's I hate when you get a spray sunscreen that barely covers you off. This like coats you in it and makes sure you know you're protected. And for a limited time, you can get 15% off Oars and Alps' entire line of powerful, clean sunscreen and skincare with code NLU15. Again, go to Oars and Alps and check out their products. Use code NLU15 for a limited time. You get 15% off their entire line. It is worth it. Trust me. So if I look back, this is just a quick timeline. I want you guys to fill in, as you see any gaps in my timeline. I did not spend one single second Googling or piecing this together. This is straight from memory of what has happened in the professional golf world, mostly from the PGA Tour perspective over the last year. Okay. June 6th, we wake up to the shocking news that the PGA Tour and PIF have made an agreement to make an agreement, which lawyers would, of course, tell you to never do. You either make an agreement or you don't. In this moment, they gave all the power and legitimacy to the organization that they spent the last year and a half rallying your tour and public support against, around hating specifically, invoking the spirit of 9/11. And then standing up on television with the leader of that organization, shaking hands and talking about this agreement that you've reached, which is not really an agreement. That all happened.
Television, CNBC, which I think is important. I did not have that in my bingo cards a year ago.
We want to make sure nobody sees it, but the people who do are going to make all the decisions going forward.
After this, your membership, which you did not consult in this process, understandably freaks out about all of this after they've made a decision, not to align with the Saudis. The tour has made that decision on their behalf. They go about losing their main ally in Rory. He calls himself a sacrificial lamb of just being out in front, taking all of these questions over the course of the last multiple years. Immediately upon doing this, you draw the attention of the DOJ. So they start poking around a lot of things.
Important context there, in addition to our appearance on ESPN, is I think the line that Jay said specifically, we did this in part to take a competitor off the board.
Yeah, forgot that one. That was a bit of a tough.
And I do want to say that just year 2 of the Canadian Open, catching not one strip, just come on, man, just punch him in the nuts for the second year in a row. While they pick up a second event in Hilton Head to sponsor as a signature event. That was cool.
As a result of the DOJ poking around, you have to remove the clause that you can't poach each other's players. You come up with a deadline for that to be settled before the end of the year. Of course, you do not reach it. You begin to publicly flirt with PE money, eventually setting on an agreement with SSG. A non-zero number of your policy board members are not in favor of the group you landed on, and there's some questions arising of relationships with Monahan and the Fenway group and how they ended up getting selected with SSG.
Important one before this, you lose Jon Rahm.
Oh yeah. Oh, we'll get there. That I don't remember the time. Yeah.
Well, that happened before, and also the commissioner, after doing all this, basically has an anxiety attack and just leaves for a month, which is tough. Kind of leaves things in a bit of a vacuum.
Also forgot about that one. Your sponsors are furious that they're being left in limbo. Several of them bail. Fans are furious about the lack of.
Real quick there too, I would say you go to your sponsors and you ask for exorbitantly more money as well.
Correct. Yes, to double it. As your ratings are dropping, you're asking for double the money.
Of course, Jon Rahm leaves to try to speed up things and has inevitably delayed any deal going down, further shifting the power over to your ally or your rival. I still don't really know what they are. Again, fans are furious. The lack of direction and clarity on the future of the sport at the professional level. The architect of the deal, Jimmy Dunn, makes a deal to leaves the board, saying no progress has been made on the deal. Another board member leaves, and Mark Flaherty. Rory, in this timeline as well, leaves the board and wants back on. Meanwhile, LIV continues to rally, organize. They've grown their operation. They've dug their heels in. They've made it clear they're not going anywhere by spending hundreds of $millions on somebody like Jon Rahm. Despite supposedly signing all of that right away a year ago on this now worthless piece of paper called the Framework Agreement. It's now been 2 full years since the best players in the world all played together on one tour, and we are at least a year and a half away from even the possibility of that happening again. So that has been the last year from the PGA Tour's standpoint. Anything I missed, guys?
Yeah, a couple things. Is Hurley still on the board?
As of now, yes, but that is a pending question.
But I think you missed a big one, which was the good God, how long have we been doing this? The CFO for the PGA Tour and Jimmy Dunn in a Senate hearing, just getting pretty much depantsed by both sides of the aisle on what the fuck are you guys doing was kind of the vibe of, which is usually us talking back to Congress of what the fuck are you guys doing? And I felt like, man, these congressmen kind of have a point. What are you guys doing? That you are just running. You're just not doing a good job. This is not competent work.
In our world,
remember how surreal that was, Neil, with Big Jimmy Dunn out there talking about killing anyone if he found out that they were involved in 9/11.
I remember.
And
and
who was the other guy that kept being what about China? Where's China involved?
The guy from
Blumenthal. Or
no. It was
all these guys.
Bass, maybe.
No, it's Tom, not Tom Cotton. No. Fuck, it's the other guy, the guy with the
Hawthorne, right?
No, he's the guy in the wheelchair. Someone in the comments knows who I'm talking about. Josh Hawley. Josh Hawley was going hard on China.
Yeah.
God.
I should mention Ron Price would not denounce China in the course of his.
Ron Price just taking all the fire. Meanwhile, Monahan's out. This is when Monahan is not around, right? And that was the most surreal thing ever. It's the commission, the guy that did the deal, is not even here to speak for it, and he's still in fucking charge. What are we doing? So you missed that.
Circling back to maybe what I was saying about 10 minutes ago. I just don't know. I'm finding it harder and harder by the day to picture a world where I'm just man, that was all worth it. That was, it's all finally come back together. And that really was worthwhile. And I'm glad I stayed locked in to all the moving pieces of all of this, because it just makes me feel really stupid.
I have a tough time pushing back on that. I mean, I'm still interested and just fascinated, almost from a business school case study standpoint of following this along and be this is going to be a case study. It's going to be they write about barbarians at the gate, these business books of hostile takeovers and stuff. 10 years it's going to have to go by, but it will be. I think in 10 years, look back and be God, I still can't believe that happened. Those guys are morons. It's unreal.
It really just I don't even know where I'm pointing the blame of this, of watching I had 2 TV setup going of LIV and Memorial today side by side. It was just this is the dumbest fucking experiment.
And then
I guess 4 year of let's just mess around with the whole product. Who cares about the wake we're going to leave behind? We'll figure that out. We'll be totally fine. It's just so silly.
So it has forced some changes on the PGA Tour, right? The SIG events, right? In a vacuum on paper, those, I have some issues with the field sizes, and we'll probably talk about that in a second. But what the PGA Championship made me realize is it really just matters that all the guys are there. I don't care if they shoot 22 under par or 30 under par, and it's supposed to be a major. It's it was just nice to see them all playing together, and that is it, man. That matters more than anything else. And so the fact that we can't figure out a way to get these guys back together, and that it basically seems like it's just turned into ego now. Of there's some guys on one side that said, probably players that are I don't want to play. Those guys need to be punished for leaving and all that. That's going to hold this up for another year and a half at least.
Good point there of getting the best players together on the worst golf course is better than split on good golf.
Yes, 100%. It was that was an exciting event, and I think Memorial would feel the same way if that field was the same. You know, it'd be like, oh, damn, they're all coming to Jack's place. Watching Jack shake Bryson's hand when he comes off in like a T4 finish, you know, doing something stupid on 18, like some kind of weird fist pump. That'd be good TV. Like, sign me up for that, you know?
Yeah, remember 2 years or 3 years ago now when they pulled Rahm off the course when he was like beating everybody's ass at the Memorial and be like, you got COVID, dog. Or your trace came back.
And then you have a 2-shot penalty because you moved the grass.
Yeah.
That was a different year.
I know. That's what I mean. Rahm just caught tons of bad luck. Or I don't know if bad luck, but just weird situations at Memorial.
On a different level. So putting aside, and I can't imagine how much stuff we actually left out in there, but like straight up question. Do you guys support signature events on the tour? We can get into what you'd change about it, whatever. Are you a fan of the signature event model?
I think for me, it's an easy answer. Yes.
Yeah. I am a fan, but I think they honestly need to go further. Like, I think it still feels stuck in the middle to me right now.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of the uncertainty is, and that's where I think some of the, you know, Mark Hubbards and Kevin Streelmans of the world get, I think, like rightfully upset. I think the Mules might have landed some punches in that shoe pack article that we're going to talk about, is that when you're like trying to tell people like, you're half in and you're half out and you can kind of play your way in, but not really, but we're going to kneecap the field and we're going to shrink the field. But like, we're doing that for a reason that like nobody seems to really care about, is where I'm like, this is not, we're stuck in the middle, man. This is not it. And I just keeps going back to like the same thing I say every time, which is like, just need to admit that there's 2 tours, you know? And like that, Neil, you were saying like, it's going to be hard to get up for, you know, the Travelers the week after the US Open, where you have signature event, major signature event. I just think that if those non-signature event weeks had an identity of some kind, and it was like, you know exactly what the outcome of those events are and what those people are playing for. And it's not like they're playing to like move up columns in a spreadsheet that like none of us ever see. Like, I just think those weeks would be so much more fun. And I don't know, we're just not quite there yet. So sorry, that's a long-winded answer. I would say, yes, I support it, but we're not nearly there yet.
I'm with Deej, but what I support about the signature events is like, we do need the best players right now on the PGA Tour, but in general, just the best players in golf playing together more often. Like, that's kind of the thesis of the signature event model. I don't know why the field sizes have to be smaller and the no cut thing. I'm like, because I thought Lashley made a really good point about the players. It's like, well, this is used to be the best field in golf. That was an awesome tournament, 155 guys. Maybe that's too many, but like, you go to 100, go to 120. Like, I feel like you are kind of burning. You're making these guys in the middle mad for no reason, almost.
Right.
Well,
and if it's going to be 60 or 70,
and I know that's
like,
because you want to get the money to the top. It's top heavy. They're trying to make sure that those guys earn. I get that, but I mean,
some of these questions these guys are asking are pretty rhetorical and have been answered, though, right? As to why things are the way they are, right? It's, you know, why do they have a limited field event? Well, they want a better chance of a better leaderboard, right? And like less of a chance of the Nate Lashley's messing up a good leaderboard, messing up a duel between Scheffler and Morikawa today. That's part of the reason why. Tough one to say out loud.
Who will be the first person to make the take that Scottie's winning too many limited field events?
There you go. I think it's you.
PC,
you
probably,
right there.
Certainly.
I think it's you right there. Like, they modeled this out, and it's, again, not an easy answer, but like, the bigger you made the signature events, the more you were going to crush the non-signature events. Like, the more you're going to be adding guys 70 through 120 into the field. You know, you're not making that tournament that much better for the sponsors that are putting up the 24 million, and you're crushing the sponsors that are putting up the 8 million for the events in between. Like, that was a big part of modeling all that out. Nobody wanted to listen to that.
Too many stakeholders. I know it's just, now we're solving problems for 2 different groups of people, and that's, you know, not really serving the product itself. It's kind of serving the bottom line, I guess.
Well, I don't think that 70 through 120 guys improve the product of the signature events. I just don't. I'm sorry. I'd rather have everybody go
but what I worry about is a little bit of like there's a lot of talent in the, you know, not worry about, but like, there's a lot of like younger guys. I feel like you run the risk of it being a little stagnant. Like, I don't know if the Aon Swing 5 and the, you know, whatever the other top 10 is, that like the osmosis between the signature and non-signature events. Like, I think you could make that a little bit more volatile, I guess, would be, if you were asking me how to improve it, I would make the field a little bigger. I'd get to 80. I'd fill the 80, 90. I mean, I think you go to 100. There's got to be some kind of a cut, man. And like, these guys are like, talk about the pampered fucks comment. It's like, yo, when there's no cut, I do think it changes these guys' attitude. I think some of them just show up and mail it in. and I think that's BS. Like there should be it doesn't have to be half the field. Maybe it's 25%, but like get rid of the bottom feeders.
But
And,
that's
like,
exactly what we talked
suck.
about Wednesday with sponsors exemptions, right? If you want somebody to put up 24 million, you want the guarantee that, like, then they cut guys this week. Like they cut a bunch of, like, Jordan Spieth did not play the weekend after Workday and Nationwide put up however much money they put up for it, and they didn't play the weekend, right? Like that's not a sexy part of the competition part, but it's part of the reality of pro golf. If you want to have $20 million purses, like you got to have companies that want to pay it, right? So like that's where I my general thought on this is I think fans and players alike can end up getting focused on the wrong stuff with this, right? Can get it focused on, we need to send the bottom 20 guys home as if that's really important to the final end of the product. And it's just not that essential, right? Like some of the stuff, you got to feed the beast of the people that put the money in. That's just part of the reality of it. And I think it just seems like no matter how they structure it, people are getting fed up and annoyed with little nuances that just aren't that important, in my opinion.
Well, I think it's a bit, you're right. It's in some ways, you're right. It's a bit symbolic though, of like, I think it's a slap across the face to the guys that don't get into this event that probably ticks them off more when it's like that guy goes out and shoots like 10 over par, and just mails it in. Like, I know there was a cut this week, but some of the past ones where there hasn't been a cut, like it's just, I don't know. It doesn't feel like a real golf tournament to me. I think the cut is important. It's a symbolic thing of like, if you play like shit, you don't make any money, you go home. Like that's a core part of pro golf to me.
But so explain this part though, of like Saturday and Sunday mornings, early part of the day, setting up hospitality. There's not a clear answer to me why you wouldn't want to have golfers coming through that, right? Like why you want less players out there on the golf course on Saturday, Sunday. It's not taking up TV time. It's not like really holding anything up in there. I get what you're saying. If you told me Friday cut watch is like where the ratings come from, where go look at how many people watch Friday afternoon PGA Tour golf. The number would astonish you for how little people it is. And people try to act like the cut's the most important thing. I don't disagree. I think it is a mindset change. It totally is.
I guess I like the cut. You're making good points though about like who's signing the checks, and this is what matters, like for the on-site experience and the hospitality stuff. I'm not going to argue with that. I guess the cut to me means that you could probably get a few more guys into the tournament and then cut it down for the weekend. I don't know. Just more flexibility. There has to be a little bit of downside to it, I guess.
I think the answer, and I'm not even like disagreeing with you. I'm just like the reality of pro golf. Like the answer, like even in that example you gave, it's like more like that. Then there's a chance, and what you propose is a chance Nate Lashley makes the weekend and Jordan Spieth doesn't. Whereas the other model would say, and again, ignoring this week where there was a cut, like the other model would say, like, no, I know Jordan Spieth's going to be here this weekend, right? Like that's the goal of this.
I know, but now I'm like, yo, Spieth's got to fucking play better, and like, now I'm like, now I'm saying like, why are we, giving him a free pass? It's like I'm starting to think like, well, we got to find the next Spieth. Like, who's the young kid?
Out.
Who's the guy in the Corn Ferry? Right,
this is where I'm like, yo, 2 tours, man. Get him up, get him down, get some volatility going.
That's what I mean. So, like, yeah,
guy who goes and wins the Houston Open gets into, the Harbor Town or whatever. Like that feels like it's something I can wrap my head around. But
I know now I'm rambling a little bit, but like the signature event in theory works for me because, like, yes, like that leaderboard today was good, and I feel like most of these signature events, I'm like, oh, there's some names up here. Like, let's see if Colin's a dog. Let's see if Xander can do it. Like, there's guys, some of the same names. It's Scottie on top. Like, it's putting good leaderboards together and getting these guys to play at the same places. That's like step one. Now we got to make that better and make that more compelling for me.
And I agree. Like, I think there's room to fill out the fields. Right? Some of the points that some of the mules made, I don't know if we want to go point by point that were in the in Adam's. I don't think these are perfect. I think they can do better at like placating some of the membership of the opportunities of some of the details of the Aon swing 10 and 5 and all that, and how like if if you qualify for 2 of them and they don't go farther down the list to like fill out the field, I think you can fix that. Like, I think that's something that is a fair critique of like filling out the bottom. It's not, they're not overloaded. They don't have too many guys in these fields.
Well, it's just also overcomplicated because you have all the other exemptions they have to worry about. It's been an issue with the PGA forever of like, a PGA Tour card is like, there's literally 75 different categories for having a card, but that doesn't mean what it used to anymore. Now that we've kind of made, like you said, Deej, like it kind of is 2 tours at this point. They're just not calling it that. They're just kind of, they're just slapping shit together, which goes back to like, here we are a year later. They don't fucking know what they're doing.
They're for sure slapping shit together.
And then, back to like, listen, Workday, all these sponsors, RBC, like they're propping up the tour. You know, I guess like credit to them for like, you know, trying to help the tour and spend more money. But like, it's kind of a lesson in like, now they have leverage and now we get these sponsors exemptions. It affects the product in a way of like, I don't think it, you know, the Kuchar play doesn't make me mad like we talked about on Wednesday, but I don't know if these guys should be paying $25 million. Like, it's like, you know, and that got driven up by an irrational actor came into the market and started overpaying for everybody. So it gets back to, you know, it's hard to fight and somebody with a blank check and an irrational confidence, I guess.
I also would say I don't think that like the tour is just like sitting on a gold mine idea that they're not like, it's pretty much like maybe not literally, but this is about as good as it's going to get, guys. Like
that's what I mean. Like it doesn't seem like they have any other ideas, and that's like I know maybe golf shouldn't be that big, and it's like God, now we just got out of whack, right?
Yeah.
But like you can't put the genie back in that bottle because you know, like, and so it's like going to be really interesting. Wells Fargo goes out, like what happens to all these other title sponsors, right? Like give that 2 or 3 years. It's like at some point they're gonna be like, this doesn't make any fucking sense, man. That's what I'd be saying if I was the CMO. I'd be like, man, I might go sponsor the LPGA tour or go like try to get more involved in team golf at the Ryder Cup twice, you know, every 2 years or something. I don't know.
At some point, just have like a sponsor or a past sponsor on, just like talk about what they get out of all this. Like, because that's where it's just like some of the shit that we talk about just doesn't matter to these sponsors. They just want to entertain some clients.
I know, and
put on events.
They do, but that makes sense to a point. Like everybody has a budget, though, right? And when you start, and now it's like it's probably raising eyebrows in the, you know, outside the marketing division of like, yo, we're spending how much on this? You know, I got to think AT&T was saying that with Byron Nelson. Like they were kind of getting screwed for a while there with Pebble and Byron Nelson almost getting downgraded. So it's like, okay, cool, we're out on Byron Nelson. We're going to go hard at the you know, AT&T, but then they have to pay double for that event. It's just like, I don't know. It's tough. So
yeah, pay triple and like cut down everything that event was known for. Like the history.
I know. It's just like, yeah. Anyway, and you have
RBC's comments and everything else like that. But Solly, hey, we have somebody waiting in the bullpen.
I was gonna say, speaking of getting paid triple, I think we got someone to bring in to talk about that phenomenon.
Gentlemen,
hello, TC.
Hi, I'm at the airport. I just landed. Got my guys with me. Say hi, Freddie.
Hey, Freddie.
Say hi. I mean, what a day. What a day. You guys were talking about, you know, all sorts of dysfunction and everything like that. And the cliques got it done. Liv's not happy. I know that you know, Live Social didn't give him a shout out for the first 30 minutes after they won. Just seeing the disrespect showed to these small market teams. Blandy shot 67 today, carried him across the line, raucous crowds. I don't think I ever expected them to actually win one of these things. It's crazy. Truly crazy.
TC, do you like Keimer's chances heading back to Pinehurst next week? Is he a favorite for you, your captain?
And will you apologize? He got it done today.
I don't. He got it done today, but he after a double and a bogey, he was 3 over through like 3 holes today. So no, Blandy shot 67 and carried this team today. So all credit to him. You know, I think Moronk, great performance. Kaye Samuya, a couple of shanks in there. We're ahead of the Fireballs, the Range Goats. We're way ahead of the Aces in the table right now. So sky's the limit, guys.
Are you upset that they let the trade deadline pass without making any big moves to the future?
No, I think this kind of validates what they were about, right? They you know, it took them a few months to get the ingredients in place, and now it's paying off. So we'll see. You know, Houston obviously just a proper championship venue down there. Greens look great, and you know, it was this is like one of the biggest upsets in sports history. This is like Williams
the
winning
cricket, the US over Pakistan this week.
Yeah, what a week, right? What a week.
TC, natural question, just how high is the ceiling for this team?
We're looking at it, you know, but it's listen. I think they tied for second last time out and then got the win here. So I think we're good. So
congratulations, man. Go celebrate with your family.
Thank you. Solly, American Airlines, we were 20 minutes late. Really, really bad experience, but they got us here safely. Okay.
Look like you landed a little early, TC. I was checking in on you. I'm glad to hear that. So I'm glad they made up the time in the air. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So all right.
Thank you as always, TC.
Thanks, TC.
Yeah.
God, that was like a player calling in after it's like Max calling in the pod.
It's a really
on his way to the airport.
Yeah, so many winners calling. Nelly Corda called in, Rose has called in, Max of course called in, and now TC calling in after the Cleeks win. So.
I guess I wish what's really tough, if I was going to sum it up, because I feel like I've been pretty negative here the last 30 minutes, which I hate. I hate that. I almost wish that LIV Houston was like raucous and awesome. I wish that like one of these, like something was going well. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I almost wish the competitor was like,
wish it was worthwhile.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I guess that's well said.
Yeah.
It's like, God, dude, it's like neither one of these is winning. That's kind of where I'm at. They're both losing is how I feel.
I mean, if I'm being honest, like this is kind of where I think where the positivity comes for me is, and listen, Memorial was fun down the stretch. It was fun to watch Scottie hold it off. I cannot wait for Pinehurst this week. I think it's going to be really, really, really freaking fun. But on a lot of these weeks where the PGA Tour and, pro golf in general just becomes kind of optional, like the recreational game is fucking going like this. Like, it is crazy how much more, just anecdotal, but like how many more people in my life just seem to be taking up the game. We've seen how hard it is to get tee times. That's kind of like where my head goes, is like, man, do I want to be thinking about like, what's going on with the the transaction subcommittee, or do I want to be thinking about like how to fix my early extension in my golf game and like going to see new places and playing with friends and doing all that stuff? Like, hell yeah, dude. Like that's just, I think, going to become like, I think that just got so far out of whack. Jeff Shackelford talks about this all the time too, but like, I'm making this up, but let's just say it's 50-50 for somebody, like how they consume like golf. Let's just say it's 50-50, like pro game versus recreational golf. Like back in the day, like before Tiger, I mean, that was like so much higher towards the recreational golf was people's experience of golf. And for a lot of people, it still is. And I feel like that has just like swung so far out of whack to an unsustainable level, which is how we find ourselves in this giant mess to begin with. And that like whatever they're cooking up back there is not going to be better than like just going out and playing on a Saturday afternoon. And I think a lot of people have started to say that about TV ratings and realizing like, the weather's good. And I think people are just like checking out and going to play instead. And so, I know we've talked about that like with the podcast, even where it's like, man, there's probably ways to incorporate a lot more of that into this podcast than, trying to break down all the X's and O's of what's going on with LIV Houston.
Which sucks because like there is a real gravitational pull towards a television when pro golf is good, right? Like there is a like, did you see what happened yesterday? Like, oh my God, is blah, blah, blah going to hunt him down today? He's got 4-shot lead, sleeping on 4-shot. Like, you can't force that kind of interest and that intrigue out of it. And it feels like sometimes we do have to summon that, right? Whereas like, dude, when everybody gets like PGA felt pretty freaking natural to be like, dude,
for sure.
Kind of whole golf world.
I felt like that at the Players. I mean, my son was born. I was like, I'm trying to find the TV remote in the hospital room. Like, yo, this is shaping up to be a great Sunday, And
that's what I mean. Those moments are like still there and still going to be there. And it's just, it's a matter of like trying to make those. It seems like what they're in these boardrooms doing is trying to make those weeks like every single week. And I'm like, I just don't think that's possible in golf.
Yeah, I don't think that's well
said.
Way
too much golf, man.
Yeah.
There's 4 tournaments a year that matter. Yeah. Everything else, they continuously try to amplify and say, oh yeah, look at this. That's at the end of the day, Sully, your feeling, DJ, your feeling, that only happens 4 times a year.
Totally.
And that's because what marketing and everything else, history, lineage, whatever you want to say, has told us that's what matters. Everything else, like, go out and play, go enjoy your life. And, there's people all the time when we talk about this, like, oh, you guys have you can change the channel, you can go do whatever else. But, like, this is also our job. And this is obviously something that we've chose to do. And we're going to watch. We're going to provide this podcast and these products and everything else that we go through. And we feel like we have to watch the golf in order to inform and entertain our listenership, our viewership, and everything. So over time, it gets very monotonous. But you're right, Neil. Like when you have those moments and you're like, dude, like, yeah, Valhalla, the course stunk, but everything about the tournament was like, yeah, I want to watch that. I can't wait for next week. I'm so excited for next week.
And
maybe we're trying to do it too many weeks, Deej. I think that's
but I would argue like it might now be the 4 weeks that really matter, but before all this happened, there were definite, it was not every weekend. It wasn't every big event, but there were definitely moments where like, dude, that golf I watched mattered. And I don't know. I always think back to like the Valspar when Reed and Spieth were in the playoff. That was just like, fuck, that was awesome. And
or some of those like Mexico Opens.
Yes.
You know, like, yeah. Like there's probably, it doesn't have to be 4. It should be like 10, 12, 15 times where you're like, yo, I'm locked in this week. This is great.
Yeah.
It is kind of hard too, because you brought up like the 5 wins this early in the season by Scottie earlier, and how shocked you were that Tiger's schedule was the way that it was for a reason. Like, he spread it across the entire season. He didn't play that much at the beginning of the year. You know, he had a couple over like DP World Tour events that he would go hit up, but this is when like he really started cooking, and that's where like the Memorial mattered. And I think the Memorial is, you know, it's in a weird spot now, not just off of Memorial Day weekend, but also moving PGA Championship, moving the players around. Some of these smaller events had to kind of, you know, get shrunk down, and that's kind of where it's at now. So I don't know. I'm very interested to see how the signature events, what they move into. But overall, I mean, we only have one left. I know this is the first year that we made it so they weren't mandatory for everybody, but everybody still seems to be showing up. I think a lot of that's money, but I don't know. It'll be very interesting to see what comes of it, because eventually, you're right, Neil, like, what's going to happen when you have more of these sponsors of signature events? Or it's like, no, man, like, I'm not paying that much money for this crap anymore.
Yeah. Let's get LPGA, and then we tease at the beginning. You can start sending them in. Cody's going to throw up. We're going to do a 5 to 10 minute segment of throw up as many questions. It can be about truly anything. It does not. Please don't make it about June 6th. Please, it can be about. Please make it be a fun segment. We mentioned at the top.
Or Jan 6. No 6.
True. Linnea Storm shot a final round. Strom. Sorry, excuse me. I typoed that one. Linnea Strom shot a final round 60 to vault from 52nd place to winning. That's as far back as I've ever heard of a winner.
Just run that sentence back again there, I think. Final round 60 to come back.
She was in the third group off of the first tee today and won the tournament.
It's insane, man. It's insane.
Ayaka Fudaway and Megan Kang finished in 2nd place. Notable occurrence this week, Nasa Hataoka was disqualified, which I was reading could end up costing her a spot in the Olympics, as she missed played her second shot on the 9th hole from long fescue around the green. It was her last hole of the day, and after footage was reviewed, provided the LPGA following the round, it was determined the search for Nasa's ball lasted longer than 3 minutes. It was commented on television. Tom Abbott had commented that they've been looking for quite some time. And then again, after, I'm unsure the timeline of when it was reviewed or why it was reviewed late, but determined it took 3 minutes and 25 seconds to find the ball, and she played it, which then made the rule that she played from the wrong spot. Scorecard was signed. It wasn't, communicated to her until the following day, and she was disqualified based on that, which was unfortunate incident there that hopefully doesn't end up messing up qualifying for the Olympics. But Ayaka Fudaway finishing 2nd this week, I haven't seen the projections. I imagine would not be the wrinkle she was looking for out of that. But
going back on Linnea, largest comeback on the LPGA since what year, you guys think? Did you see this?
Since like 1500, like since the beginning of the tour. Like, how was there a big comeback?
Largest comeback in 40 years. That's the heavyweight stuff.
I'm honestly surprised there's a comeback that's been from that far back. It's unbelievable. So
impacts my models for how far back is too far back.
It does change everything.
Also, didn't they change this rule
back in the day? Yeah. Remember that?
Not to go back to NASA, but like, didn't they change that where you cannot, people can't call in, or their disqualification is no longer on the table? I thought there was a rule change specifically about this.
There's a rule change about like, and I'll get the specifics of it wrong, but you can't, if it's something that like was not visible to the naked eye and is reviewed from HD footage, it no longer can constitute, like after the fact, can constitute a disqualification, right? Like it can't be like, oh, a grain of sand was moved in the bunker, blah, blah, blah. That was not, seen on camera on television. But this is like, hey, you took too long to find this ball. That ball should have been declared lost. That's not HD footage that led to that. It was, and it was commented on live. I think this is honestly like, I've read this and I was like, this is a resource problem for the LPGA. Yeah. Like this should have been caught prior to this happening, especially if Tom Abbott's commenting on it as it's happening on the television window, saying that it had taken too long, or it had taken a long time. That would have been something that they should have been able to quickly scramble somebody to look at and count, but that was not able to happen. So anyways, want to get some questions and then get to wrap?
Well, I think you have a second Arizona State Sun Devil that you want to give a shout out to this week, and that's Lynn Grant for absolutely dusting everybody at the Scandinavian Mixed as well. Ended up winning by 1 stroke over Sebastian Soderberg. Just heartbreaking loss there. I don't want to like mince words or anything, but potentially one of the worst finishes that I've ever seen, including the 18th hole. It was just heartbreaking to see. But Lynn ended up shooting an incredible final round as well, but she shoots 65 to come back. I think she started the day 11 strokes back and ends up winning it. Really cool event. I know we shout this out every year, but another mixed event, LET, DP World Tour. Second time Lynn's won this event. So just absolutely beating it up.
She won it by 9 in 2022 over Henrik Stenson and Mark Warren. And then, Callum Hill was another
Warren
rep. But it's funny. The putt that Soderberg missed to get into the playoff was not a long one. It was really, really, and it was for bogey to shoot 76 to get into the playoff, and he missed it, shot 77 and missed the playoff by 1. It was a very tough scene.
Deej, any relation to Steven Soderberg?
I'm pretty sure. I'll double check that, but yeah, I think so. At least he's probably seen Ocean's 11. I'm guessing.
Sure.
At a minimum.
All right.
I think Lynn won in her hometown as well. It's just always, I know Randy's gonna love that. Practically a home game.
First one, here we go, guys. Speaking of Scandinavian Mixed, there was a PGA Tour equivalent of the Scandinavian Mixed. Not talking about the thing that they do in the fall. Where would you hold it? What would the ideal format be? Start with Mr. DJ. You look like you're deep in thought.
I was deep in thought. That's why I was hoping you wouldn't call on me.
Okay, Neil.
No, I can answer. I would say yes, there should be. I think it would be super, super fun. I think it would be, if I was going to be pessimistic, you would probably get not all the top players, and it would probably turn into kind of a Wendy's 3-tour challenge situation, and it would wither on the vine.
Nate Lashley's already going to be furious about the tee markers for the women. They're too far up. Like, yeah.
But moving all of those roadblocks aside, let's just say that you, let's just say you could clear the decks on all of that, and everybody was fully, invested and excited about it. I would have it at, have it at Valhalla. I don't know. It piss us off on the men's side. I think the women's game is actually going to be great for the Solheim Cup. So, I think you could stretch the men back, as far as you possibly needed to. And I think actually the golf course would play probably a little more interesting for the women. So to have it at Valhalla, I think that'd be great. People of Kentucky deserve a good event like that.
I just think they should start with the President's Cup.
Of course.
And make that. I know we've talked about that a million times, but that's just an easy answer. I think the Pinehurst U.S. Open, when they did the men's and women's, back-to-back weeks, I feel like Pinehurst would be an awesome spot for if you were going to do a PGA Tour equivalent. That'd be a good spot to start it up.
Harbor Town was the first thing that came to mind for me. That'd be fun. Just to see the contrasting styles on that golf course.
Is there? I know whoever the main player is for Zurich, but it seems like there's every year we get kind of crazy pairings. Whoever the partners are, whether that's brothers, the Fitzpatricks, the Brooks and Chase out there. Which, by the way, I haven't heard anything about how the amazing play of Chase Koepka all year since he got dumped by LIV. That's besides the point. But is there anything saying that like Nelly couldn't be invited by Scottie next year, and TaylorMade wants to do this and do a Zurich activation?
Zurich should 100% lean into it. Like they should.
Yeah, I know. I mean, they should let them do that. I don't know if there's a bylaw that says. I mean, no, there's not, because you had women play in the Colonial and other men's events already. It feels like they could do that.
I'm ready to see Nelly in a PGA Tour event as well. That's maybe a separate question. But what else you got cooked up for us, Code?
All right, got a lot of U.S. Open questions, which will
we can dabble in that. This is a reward for everyone that stuck around until the end and watched it live.
Perfect. So, of the crew, who's all going to be at the U.S. Open?
David Jarrett is asking that. It's just going to be KVV. He'll be arriving, I believe, this week. He'll be writing. He'll be popping into a live show, all that. But we're all going to be taking the majors from home, watching on television just like everyone else, and doing live shows after every single round. Happy hour on Wednesday. We'll have a preview podcast out Monday night as well. We will give you our full depth of coverage, but all doing it from home except for KVV.
I think a bit of context on that. So KVV will be there. We know he'll be writing his big Sunday Night Gamer. I think that's kind of our, we've been taking so much. This is maybe inside baseball, but we're taking so much of info from a lot of these like old game stories and old SI stories, and it's kind of a shame. Like it's one of the things that's kind of gone away in golf. Is I understand all the realities of why, but it's hard to send a writer there for like 7-8 days to just write one magazine story at the end of the week. So we've been trying to do that since we brought on KVV to like have build our own little archive, and like when we get hopefully 10 years down the road, like, hey, what did KVV say about Scottie's win at the Masters? We can go back and look at it. So we know we'll have that. In between that, it's always kind of a bit of a grab bag. So I would almost encourage people, like, let us know, let KVV know, go on the refuge, drop us an email, let us know if you see something that you like. The thing we always struggle with the major championship coverage is like, you can't treat every Thursday like it's Sunday, and it can't be like, oh my God, Ricky Fowler is out to a one-shot lead. I need to write everything about Ricky today. I need to give it the full KVV treatment. What does it mean? What does humanity mean? All because Ricky's probably going to make double on the first hole the next day, and it kind of gets a little outdated. So we struggle a little bit on like what to do that's not exactly like everybody else, and what is still additive and kind of brings a good value. So we're always trying to figure out what that mix is. So interested to hear from people on that.
Great. All right, this comes from Mr. David Stewart. Over under for winner next week. Send it at minus 5.5.
I'm going over.
Over as in lower?
Lower, yes. As in like, I think it's going to be closer to 10.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
I agree. I think
it's like 8 to 10 is where I feel like after seeing the course, I will you just at Pinehurst a month ago, we have a film room out on YouTube. Ben and I played a match out there, but they are definitely going to keep the surrounds shaggier. So there's not going to be a lot of Martin Keimer just putting from everywhere. It's not like shaggy, but it's definitely like you just have this feeling like I don't want to putt this if it's more than 3 yards off the green.
You got to hammer it so hard, and then it gets up on the tabletop and just goes forever.
Yeah, it starts bouncing.
Really sweet dynamic.
Yeah, so they're gonna force these guys to use wedges in the short grass, which I think is a good update to the course for this go round. And then the other big update is they shrunk the fairway in on 13. They added a bunch of wire grass up the left side of 13, which is an awesome hole, kind of short par 4 up the hill. I don't know, like it made it really skinny, and it's like it almost feels like it's almost just as hard to hit the fairway with like iron. It's so skinny, like back. I could see a lot of guys just trying to blast it up to because it almost gets like wider up towards the green. Just depends on how far back the tee is. But that was the only other like major update that I noticed out there.
You hit driver there? I think so. You hit driver, Neil or Ben, like snap hook left.
Ben hit the Molotov cocktail there. I did hit driver, and I hit a really good one, and it still crept into the wire grass. But I had like 80 yards, and it's almost like maybe better to have a wedge into that green because you can kind of put it over the back of that green, and it's a little safer back there. So I don't know. Maybe these guys are so good with iron that don't take my word for like, we can definitely hit that fairway with an iron. It's just
I haven't checked. I think they're going to play different tees than you guys played, but I have to verify that as well.
Oh, 1,000%.
I hope they did. I have a question coming off of that, and shouting out the film room.
Well, just real quick on weather. They're looking like some potential rain tonight of a half an inch in Pinehurst, and then but almost no wind projected this week. 6 miles an hour for most of the week. Like Pinehurst isn't the kind of course that needs wind, but like whenever the wind doesn't blow,
makes it a lot more fun.
Golf courses, they are going to rip them apart. So yeah, low scores.
Good to hear. What I hear from that is that June in Pinehurst is notorious for like the craziest lightning storms that come out of nowhere. That's usually what happens every time they host US Open, except for that foggy one that you guys did. And an awesome look back on, by the way. Go back and look at the Pinehurst Deep Dive US Opens. Phenomenal work there. Fun. What? I was going to say, so 10 years on now, we talk about major championships, and obviously you want to give a good, thorough preview of what's going to happen. Do you guys think the fact that you've been to Pinehurst so many times, you've been around number 2 so many times, you've seen the evolution of number 2, like how much is that aiding in it versus this, the prep work that you did for Valhalla or, LACC, only TC and Solly ever going to play courses like that, If you can talk on that a little bit, we'll go with you first, Solly.
DJ and Randy have played LACC as well. I have to venture that.
That's true.
On invite, not just on US Open Media Day either. But I mean, yeah, I have more affinity for it, having gotten the chance to play it and like just having like truly the time of my life playing it. It's like, I believe I've declared it my favorite golf course I've ever played in the United States. May have to update that after getting the chance to play Augusta National, but it's just like there'll be no whining about golf courses and setup. Maybe there might be setup whining, but there will be no like discussion from us on the lack of test of this golf course, right? It tests so many different things, and you get to see it up close and personal, and we've seen it on television as well. Like you have to be in such control of your golf ball. It's a great balance of like rewarding accuracy off the tee without overly narrow fairways. It's just kind of like you leave like the four-word review of it is like what we're talking about, which I think I used in Torah Sauce about one of the courses. I forget what it was, but like this is kind of, you guys never talk about the golf course you actually like it's this exact one. It's the highlight of the year in terms of the rotating venues. I think the rotating venues are quite weak obviously on the PGA Championship side. I like Royal Troon. It's probably still one on the lower spectrum of Open Championship roto courses. Like Pinehurst is a anchor site for a great reason, and it is for modern professional men's golf. It's obviously would be great for the women as well, but like this is the kind of test that's necessary of how can you get your golf ball to stop? Like that is a major question this coming week, and not every golf course is like that. And the USGA and governing bodies and the PGA Tour are having trouble finding golf courses that ask that question, and I don't think that's going to be a problem this week.
One thing I'd add to that was at Media Day, Wyndham Clark did a Q&A, and I thought he had a really good quote about the course. He just played it for I think the first time, like the day before, and he said, no hole really jumps out at you, but it's just a really like the full body of work. It's just such a strong collection of golf holes. And I think a criticism you could have if you haven't been to Pinehurst is like they all run together on TV. It's a lot of like the look. It's like I don't get what's so special about it, but like it's just a collection of 18 really, really strong golf holes. And I think that for like a major venue is like exactly what you're looking for. I think there's a couple standout holes, but I think the floor is very high at Pinehurst, which I appreciate.
Donnie gets obviously all the credit for it, but a lot of people forget that he lived there for the vast majority of his adult life. He continued to work on that course for 50 years, needling away on it, and it's something that I think when you hear like Jack's work is never done in Muirfield Village, and like these guys always trying to refine and make good. I think a lot of that comes from Donald Ross. Kind of cool to see. But another question here from Gary Starkey. Should the Lido get a major championship, or at least they look at a PGA Tour or at least at a tour stop? We'll go with DJ there first.
You're putting me in a real bad spot here, Code Man, because my answer is going to be no. I hate to go against, of course, my home state of Wisconsin. I got to play the Lido a couple weeks ago. It's very, 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 very cool. I would think tour players might shoot 65 under there, probably. It's
you
maybe not
hate this at all. Like the golf courses should be either about that thing or about what it is, and
they are having
both things.
They are having a US Mid-Am, I believe, in a couple years, and if it gets spicy, like there are very interesting sections of greens, and if it gets running out, like there are so many bunkers out there. So I honestly, you need to come back and we can go play it, because I'm very curious of your thoughts on the golf course, because none of it, TC and I were talking about it after we played, none of it feels like, I don't want to say it feels like random, but there are times where there's almost just so many bunkers that it's like, dude, even if I knew that was there, which I didn't, because a lot of them are like blind and like benched into the back of hills and stuff. It's like, even if I knew that was there, I'm not good enough to avoid like all of those. So I'd have to lay like so far back that it just kind of ends up, you kind of hit and like hope you don't bounce into one of those bunkers is a little bit of the golf course. But on the holes where it doesn't feel that way, like there's some really, really good stuff. But like serious answer about like a tour stop and stuff is, I mean, there's nowhere to stay. There's no like hospitality. There's no, I don't know. I'm sure Wisconsin would show up as best that they could, but let's see how the US Mid-Am goes first before we do that.
Can I ask a question maybe as we head towards wrapping and seeing some of the comments rolling in as well, and something we deal with during every major championship discussion about golf courses is why do people associate like an exciting finish or a showdown with the quality of the golf course so heavily? Like that always amazes me. Like, is Valhalla responsible for like Xander and Bryson showdown in that, or is like, why does that make it a quality golf course? Like that's not a fair criticism that we could have of a golf course.
I guess people just don't want to think that hard. Like, I don't mean that like to be a dick, but like, it's like, what's the problem? Like, why can't you just enjoy the tournament and like watch it? It's entertainment. Like, I think there's a lot of golf fans or people that turn golf on the weekend.
Might be something to that as well.
And I don't disagree with them a little bit. Like, I think that's a very valid take of like, dude, why don't you just enjoy, like, it was a cool shootout. And I guess the other argument they make is like, that's what, 3 times in a row that Valhalla's had an awesome finish. Like, I guess that's it's kind of hard to say that's coincidence, right? Like, there's been
the first
heavyweights
one
going
awesome.
at it down the stretch.
First one wasn't awesome. What, if you have one bad one, do you get out of
Sure.
rotas as well?
No, I don't. Mean? Well, I'm almost
you're
making
you're
the opposite argument. A little bit, yeah. Well, because I think that there's a valid argument of like, it's not about the golf course. It should just be about the competition of like, I just want to see like 2 guys duke it out down the stretch. Like like we said during Valhalla, it was like a member guest. And like, I can think of a few like tournaments where you go to some crappy club and you're like, oh my God, this guy, is he going to make this putt? Like the drama is real. Like, it of course doesn't matter. I don't agree with that completely, but I think, I don't fault anybody for thinking that.
I don't want to get my like width and angles card revoked here, but it's like, man, did I enjoy like Bellerive and coming down the stretch there? Like, yeah, I did. Like, I don't know. It's really fun.
Bellerive's credit though is
it's not,
that's what a lot of fans tend to think. I
guess it's almost like one of those like glowing brain memes where the brain just keeps getting like brighter and brighter. But you could almost argue that the less questions you're asking, the more you're going to guarantee that you're going to have a bunch leaderboard, and it's almost like the worse golf course, like the more drama you're going to have.
I'm kind of
like,
I agree with that.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm kind of getting to that point as well, especially as like, everything we said about the transaction subcommittee and things of that nature. It's like, if we're only going to get 4 of these that matter a year, like, would I rather be just like standing off my couch clapping because it's like, I'm so fucking proud Scottie hit it to 30 feet there so that he can go on and win by 9? Or would I rather be like, oh, there's like 5 guys in the mix that can win, and I can't wait to see what happens. It's like
the U.S. Open
voting for B, but
yeah. But for the U.S. Open, I do want it to be like a psychological evaluation. Like, I'm down with the U.S. Open being, and I'm willing to risk Michael Campbell winning, or
of course,
or Keimer running. Like, yeah, you might get a bad winner, but like when the golf course like kind of is the feature, like for the U.S. Open and the toughest test, I'm in on that. Do I need that for the PGA? I don't. Of course, it doesn't matter quite as much for me for that tournament. I don't want to see him just like, I don't want it to be a total birdie fest. I would like to see it play a little more strategic or tough, but it was a cool leaderboard.
I think it would be different too and this is not even a shot or saying that the telecast should even do anything differently, because this would be stupid, but like, if you could really like sink in to, if you had way fewer players on the golf course or way fewer players you were dedicated to actually like showing, and you could really sink in and explain like the architectural significance of more shots, I think that would be a different conversation. Like, if you could do that at Augusta and you weren't trying to like, it was like, hey man, we're going to take like every shot from these 2 players' rounds, and we're going to talk through each shot, and we're going to talk about like who's got a good angle, who's got a bad angle, who's, got a hanging lie, what that's going to do on the green, what, where he's trying to pitch this versus stop it. Like, if you could really take the time to sink into all of that stuff, I think it becomes a different conversation. But in reality, it's just like, holy shit, there's 35 guys we got to get to, like, go, 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 go. And of course, nobody's going to be like, well, the reason he hit it to 12 feet was because of that kicker on the right. And now he knows he has this putt. And now, you know what I mean? So like, that stuff's never going to shine through on TV.
Yeah. I think it's less about like angles, is it as much as like that, as far as translating, it's more about risk balance, right? Of like an appreciation for like, all right, I know if you go at the back right pin at 12 at Augusta, like everybody knows how risky that shot is. Right. And that's kind of some of the stuff that was lacking I'd be curious to see if we feel like Pinehurst has that, right? With not much wind, and if there's any kind of softness as well, like, does that shine through of like having the layer of appreciation for how good of a shot that just was because 5 balls got rejected in the previous groups? I don't know. I'm excited to find that out. We're not going to do too much Pinehurst stuff tonight because we're going to have plenty of preview stuff to preview. We're going to have a happy hour on Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern. We're going to do our full Monday preview pod like we normally do. We'll be live after every round, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, right here on YouTube, Twitter, podcast feed, wherever you get your show. anything else you guys want to pop? Promo, merch, anything, Neil?
Yeah, called out the Roback, the film room we did at Pinehurst. That is on our YouTube channel if you want a little course preview, more kind of a laid back one, little belt match between Ben and I. Straight up mano-a-mano, trying to take the belt from him after he took it from Solly. I got a merch promo going, a little Father's Day. Code is DAD24. Spend $50, you get a free Dob kit. How about that? Dads love Dob kits. Dads love organization of their toiletries. So drop that Dob kit in your cart and add the code DAD, DAD24 in the NLU Pro Shop. And if you want more deals like that, sign up for the email newsletter, newsletter.nolayingup.com. It goes out twice a month with a bunch of goodies in there. That's all I got.
We had an interview podcast with Brandel Chambly this past week as well, on top of our deep dive into the past 3 Pinehurst U.S. Opens. Those are on our podcast YouTube channel. If you want to watch the video versions of those, they're also on your podcast feed if you haven't gotten to those. But if you can't wait any longer, if you can't make it to Monday night for our preview episode, which I just did a long drive. Now I kind of get some of the vibe of like, dude, need more episodes, need more podcast episodes. Keep them coming.
Yeah, no, I listened to the whole Pinehurst deep dive on a 3-hour drive this weekend. It was delightful, guys. I really enjoyed it. I also would shout out
Reed trial right now. By the way, that was most of my drive today.
I also would shout out Tourist Sauce. Finished up this past week, our 9th season of Tourist Sauce. If you were waiting for all the episodes to drop, I can report they have all dropped. There are 8 of them. Please go watch those. Thank you very much to our friends at Precision Pro for making that season possible. And also, Cody, I would shout out the video you did with Corey Lundberg and Al Higgs down at Trinity Forest. Is very cool. This was brought to you by Serve Pro. If you guys are curious, just what high-end players are working on game management wise. How are they attacking golf holes? Al obviously caddied for his brother Harry for a long time on the PGA Tour, good player in his own right. Corey works with guys like Mark Hubbard and Harry as well. Lots of good insights there, and then kind of get into your own golf game a little bit as well. So we're going to be doing more of these videos. Seemed like people really liked it. Just informal straw poll of the comment section, which is good because we've got some more of these coming up. I believe Ben is coming up next. So yeah, Cody, anything else to add on that?
No, it was awesome. Excited to see what Team Altus does this week at Pinehurst, though. But super appreciate everybody, all the good comments, and my golf game. I'm in trouble right now, guys. You saw me a couple weeks ago. I got so many swing thoughts. I got body feels going on. We got a TPI thing coming out later on. I've been kicking butt in the gym, but my golf swing just doesn't feel the same. I don't know. I'm in one of those frustrating points of swing changes where you're just like, I want to get to the finish so I can go out and like have fun and hit good shots again, but it's just not lining up. So go watch the video and see how I ended up here.
Guys, I was totally convinced I found the swing feel of all swing feels. It did not last it didn't last 24 hours. It did not. It's gone. It's good. We've lost it. It's gone. So, all right, let's get out of here. We said we are going to do an hour and a half tonight. We just can't stop talking. Too much to talk about. Too much content coming this week as well. Stay subscribed. Appreciate you. Thank you. High Noon, Oars and Alps, Roback, Cody, Neil, DJ, Jordan running the socials. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll see you back here all week. Major Championship week. Let's get it. Peace.